When people think of the Avengers, names like Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Captain America usually come to mind first. And to be fair, that's already an absurdly powerful lineup. Thor is a god who has fought cosmic threats for centuries. Hulk gets stronger the angrier he becomes, and Iron Man has built armor capable of taking on aliens, gods, and entire armies. Over the years, the Avengers have also welcomed heavy hitters like Blue Marvel, Hercules, Doctor Strange, and many others. The team has never been lacking in power, which is exactly why picking a single strongest member is such a difficult task. One name that always comes up in this discussion is the Sentry. Robert Reynolds is often described as having the power of a million exploding suns, and some of his feats are genuinely insane. He's gone toe-to-toe with some of Marvel's most powerful beings, ripped Ares in half, and possesses immense strength, speed, durability, and reality-bending abilities. On pure raw power alone, Sentry is absolutely one of the strongest Avengers ever. There are plenty of fans who would put him at the top of the list, and honestly, it's not a crazy choice. Few heroes in Marvel history can match the sheer scale of what he's capable of when he's operating at his peak. But still, the title usually goes to Scarlet Witch. When the Maximoff has evolved far beyond the hero she was when she first joined the team. Her chaos magic has allowed her to alter reality on a massive scale, reshape entire worlds, and affect countless lives with just a few words. The most famous example remains House of M, where she rewrote reality itself and later wiped out the powers of the vast majority of mutants with no more mutants. Moments like that place her in a category that very few Avengers can reach. The Avengers have had gods, geniuses, super soldiers, and cosmic powerhouses among their ranks, but Scarlet Witch's ability to reshape reality makes her the strongest Avenger. The X-Men have always been home to some of the most powerful mutants in Marvel history. Characters like Professor X and Magneto, Iceman, Legion, Vulcan, Hope Summers, and Rogue have all shown abilities capable of changing the course of entire wars. Iceman alone has evolved from the guy who throws ice into a mutant who can potentially spread himself across the planet, while Legion possesses hundreds of personalities with hundreds of different powers. When you look at the X-Men roster across decades of comics, the competition for the strongest member is far more crowded than most people realize. For years, the most common answer was Jean Grey. With the Phoenix Force, Jean operates on a level that few Marvel characters can even comprehend. She has wielded power, capable of destroying worlds, manipulating matter and energy on a cosmic scale, and battling some of the most dangerous entities in existence. Even without the Phoenix, Jean remains one of the greatest telepaths and telekinetics on Earth. The Phoenix and Jean have become so closely linked that many readers immediately think of her whenever the conversation turns to the most powerful X-Man. Between her cosmic feats and her influence on mutant history, she has held that title for a very long time. Recently though, Storm has entered that conversation in a major way. What started as a weather manipulation has grown into something far more impressive over the years. Storm has commanded planetary storms, manipulated cosmic forces, battled gods, and become one of the most respected leaders in mutant history. Her recent solo comics pushed her power and status even further, placing her among cosmic entities and elevating her to a level that many fans would have considered impossible years ago. At this point, the debate usually comes down to Jean Grey and Storm. Jean has the legendary Phoenix legacy behind her, while Storm's recent stories have elevated her into a near-divine figure. Depending on which era and feats you value most, either one has a very strong claim to being the most powerful X-Men ever. The Fantastic Four might not look like the most powerful team in Marvel at first glance, but that's only because their abilities are often overshadowed by their personalities. Reed is arguably the smartest human in the Marvel Universe. Johnny Storm can reach temperatures comparable to a star, and Ben Grimm possesses enough strength to go toe-to-toe with some of Marvel's strongest heroes and villains. Together, they are one of the most important teams in comic book history, constantly dealing with cosmic threats, alternate realities, and world-ending disasters that would overwhelm most superhero groups. Of course, there's one obvious name that deserves to be mentioned before anyone else, and that's Franklin Richards. As the son of Reed and Sue, Franklin has displayed reality warping abilities on a scale that borders on the unbelievable. He's created universes and restored realities and performed feats that place him among the most powerful beings Marvel has ever introduced. Whenever people discuss the strongest character connected to the Fantastic Four, Franklin is usually the first answer. His powers have fractured over the years, but at his peak, very few characters in Marvel can compete with him. But looking strictly at the core four members, the crown usually belongs to Susan Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. Her powers go far beyond simple invisibility. She can generate nearly indestructible force fields, create invisible constructs, protect entire cities, and attack opponents from the inside by placing force fields directly within their bodies. Even Doctor Doom has acknowledged how dangerous she can be when she stops holding back. Over the years, writers have repeatedly shown that Sue is often the team's secret powerhouse, capable of defeating threats that Reed, Johnny, or Ben would struggle against. The Fantastic Four may may be filled with brilliant minds, even weapons, and superhuman strength. But when it comes to raw power among the original members, Susan stands at the top. The Midnight Suns are a group built around the supernatural side of the Marvel Universe. Whenever demons, dark gods, ancient curses, or mystical invasions threaten reality, the Midnight Suns are usually the first line of defense. Over the years, the roster has included Ghost Rider, Blade, Moon Knight, Elsa Bloodstone, Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, Doctor Strange, and several other heroes connected to magic and the occult. Because of that, the team's power level is often much higher than people expect. Ghost Rider is one of the most feared beings in Marvel thanks to the spirit of vengeance. His hellfire can burn the soul itself. The penance stare can force victims to experience all the pain they've caused, and when powers like Zarathos fully emerge, his strength reaches absurd level. Characters like Man-Thing and even certain versions of Moon Knight have also wielded powers tied to ancient mystical forces that make them far more than simple monster hunters. As the Sorcerer Supreme, Strange has spent decades protecting reality itself from threats that exist beyond time, space, and human understanding. While Ghost Rider may be more terrifying, Doctor Strange combines power, knowledge, experience better than anyone else on the team. The Guardians of the Galaxy have never been a team defined by raw power. They are usually a collection of outcasts, criminals, adventurers, and unlikely heroes trying to save the galaxy while barely holding themselves together. Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, Gamora, and Drax are the names most people associate with the team, but the comic book roster is much larger than the movie suggests. The Guardians have welcomed cosmic heavyweights like Adam Warlock, Nova, Silver Surfer, Beta Ray Bill. Because the roster changes so often, the team has occasionally included characters powerful enough to challenge some of Marvel's greatest cosmic threats. Adam Warlock has spent decades as one of Marvel's premier cosmic heroes, wielding incredible energy manipulation, cosmic awareness, and at times even the Infinity Stones. Gladiator brings strength, speed, durability, and heat vision on a level comparable to the most powerful alien champions in comics. Thor's brief time with the team added an actual gut to the roster, complete with world-shaking strength and command over storms. Even Drax, despite often being portrayed as a comic relief in the MCU, he was originally created for one purpose, and that's killing Thanos. The Guardians may look like a ragtag crew on the surface, but some of their members rank among the strongest beings in the universe. So who's the most powerful Guardian? That's Cosmic Ghost Rider. Frank Castle's transformation into this bizarre cosmic powerhouse resulted in one of the most overpowered characters Marvel has ever created. He combines the power cosmic of Galactus with the supernatural abilities of a spirit of vengeance, giving him an absurd mix of cosmic and mystical power. You've got energy manipulation, interstellar travel, incredible strength and durability, reality warping capabilities, and the soul-burning powers associated with Ghost Riders. Throughout his appearances, Cosmic Ghost Rider has battled cosmic entities, traveled through time, and performed feats that would be impossible for almost every other Guardian. The Inhumans are one of Marvel's most unique superhuman civilization. Created through exposure to the Terrigen Mist, every Inhuman can develop widely different abilities, ranging from fairly simple powers to abilities that can reshape entire battlefields. Over the years, the royal family alone has produced some incredibly dangerous individuals. Medusa can control her hair with astonishing precision and strength, Crystal can manipulate the classical elements, Karnak can perceive weaknesses in virtually anything, and Gorgon possesses enough raw power to shake the ground with a single strike. Even beyond the royal family, powerful Inhumans like Maximus, Triton, and Luna have all played major roles in Marvel Comics, but a few Inhumans have power levels that deserve special mention whenever this debate comes up. Crystal is often underestimated, despite controlling earth, air, fire, and water on a massive scale. Her elemental manipulation gives her incredible versatility and makes her one of the strongest members of the royal family. Maximus the Mad lacks Black Bolt's raw destructive force, but his intellect and schemes have repeatedly threatened entire civilizations. Characters such as Vox and other enhanced humans have also demonstrated abilities capable of challenging some of Marvel's heavy hitters. At the very top stands Black Bolt. His power is so overwhelming that he spends most of his life in silence. His quasi-sonic voice is essentially a living weapon of mass destruction. A whisper can level mountains, while a full scream has been portrayed with enough force to devastate entire regions and even threaten planets. Beyond his voice, Black Bolt possesses superhuman strength, durability, and speed, and one of the strongest presences of any ruler in Marvel. Time and time again, writers have treated him as the ultimate trump card of the Inhumans, a character whose greatest limitation isn't a lack of power, but the need to constantly hold it back. Among the Inhumans, there has never been a more feared or more powerful figure than their king. The Dark Avengers were Norman Osborn's twisted version of Earth's mightiest heroes. Following the events of Secret Invasion, Osborn used his newfound political power to create a government-sponsored Avengers team made up of villains, anti-heroes, and deeply unstable individuals, disguised as beloved heroes. Venom posed as Spider-Man, Bullseye became Hawkeye, Moonstone took on the role of Miss Marvel, and Daken filled the Wolverine spot. On paper, the team looked like a new generation of Avengers. In reality, it was a disaster waiting to happen, filled with dangerous people who were often just as likely to fight each other as they were the enemy. Despite being a team built around deception, the Dark Avengers possessed some genuine terrifying members. Ares brought the power of an Olympian god. Moonstone wielded one of the most dangerous alien artifacts in Marvel, and characters like Venom and Daken added deadly combat skills to the roster. Norman himself operated as the Iron Patriot, using advanced armor and government resources to maintain control. For all their flaws, the Dark Avengers were far from weak. Many of their members had already proven themselves against the Avengers, the X-Men, and other major heroes long before joining the team. But there was never any real debate about who the strongest member was. The answer was the Sentry. Robert Reynolds was already considered one of the most powerful heroes in Marvel before joining the team, possessing immense strength, speed, durability, energy manipulation, and reality warping abilities. More importantly, he was Sight of the Void, a dark counterpart capable of unleashing catastrophic destruction on a global scale. Throughout the Dark Avengers era, Osborn essentially treated the Sentry as his ultimate weapon and greatest source of power. The problem was that nobody, including the Sentry, could truly control what he was capable of. The Young Avengers may have started as a team of teenage heroes inspired by the Avengers, but they quickly became much more than that. Over the years, the roster has included some incredibly powerful characters with abilities that rival and sometimes surpass those of their older counterparts. America Chavez can punch holes through reality and travel across the multiverse. Hulkling combines the powers of both the Kree and Skrull races while ruling an intergalactic empire. And Kid Loki brings the magical knowledge and cunning of one of Marvel's greatest tricksters. Even characters like Speed, Kate Bishop, Patriot, and Satyr prove that this wasn't just a group of sidekicks trying to fill someone else's shoes. Several members have power sets that would make them stand out on almost any Marvel team. Hulkling is physically one of the strongest Young Avengers and possesses incredible versatility thanks to his shape-shifting abilities. America Chavez can perform feats that sound ridiculous even by superhero standards, opening star-shaped portals across realities and smashing through dimensions with her punches. Kid Loki's mastery of magic and manipulation often allows him to outthink opponents who are far stronger than him on paper. When you look at the team's roster as a whole, it's easy to see why the Young Avengers became one of Marvel's most impressive next-generation teams rather than simply a younger version of the original Avengers. Still, the most powerful Young Avenger is Wiccan. Billy Kaplan Maximoff inherited reality warping chaos magic linked to the Scarlet Witch, giving him access to abilities that can affect reality itself. Throughout Marvel history, characters have repeatedly recognized his enormous potential, and prophecies have pointed toward him eventually becoming the Demiurge, a godlike entity with the power to shape and rewrite existence on a multiversal scale. Even before reaching that destiny, Wiccan has performed feats of magic that place him among Marvel's most powerful sorcerers. The Eternals are already operating on a completely different level from most superhero teams. Created by the Celestials millions of years ago, they were designed to be near-perfect beings with immense strength, immortality, cosmic energy manipulation, flight, and other extraordinary abilities. Icarus, Circe, Thena, Makari, Gilgamesh, and Zuras have spent thousands of years protecting Earth while battling threats such as the Deviants and even cosmic forces beyond human understanding. Unlike teams that rely on numbers or strategy, most Eternals are individually powerful enough to challenge some of Marvel's strongest heroes all by themselves. Several members have legitimate claims to the title of Strongest Eternal depending on how you define power. Icarus is usually considered the mightiest active warrior and the closest thing the Eternals have to superhuman. His combination of strength, speed, durability, combat skill, and cosmic energy projection has made him the face of the franchise for decades. Circe brings a completely different type of power through her incredible matter manipulation, allowing her to alter both organic and inorganic substances on a massive scale. Then there's Zuras, the former Prime Eternal, whose leadership and connection to the Unimind made him one of the most influential and powerful Eternals in history. When the discussion expands beyond active heroes, the answer usually becomes Kronos. Following a catastrophic experiment, Kronos transcended his physical form and evolved into a cosmic entity of pure energy and consciousness. From that point onward, he operated on a scale that few Eternals could even comprehend, possessing immense cosmic awareness and power far beyond that of his descendants. The New Mutants have always been a fascinating team because their roster isn't packed with the obvious powerhouses at first glance. Characters like Cannonball, Sunspot, Mirage, Wolfsbane, Karma, and Cypher often relied more on creativity, teamwork, and personal growth than overwhelming force. Yet over the years, many of these characters evolved far beyond their original concepts. Sunspot became a major political and financial player in the Marvel Universe, Cannonball proved himself against cosmic threats, and Karma developed into one of the team's most dangerous telepaths. What started as Xavier's younger class eventually produced mutants, capable of standing alongside the X-Men's biggest names. For most of the team's history, the strongest member was usually considered Magic. Illyana's powers extend far beyond her mutant teleportation abilities. As the ruler and sorcerer supreme of Limbo, she commands powerful magic that allows her to battle demons, manipulate mystical energies, and travel across dimensions. Over the years, she's gone from being Colossus' little sister to one of Marvel's premier magic users. Whether she's fighting supernatural threats or leading mutant armies, magic constantly operates on a level that few new mutants can match. If you asked fans a few years ago who the most powerful mutant was, Magic would probably be the favorite. More recently, however, Douglas Ramsey completely changed the conversation. For decades, Cypher was viewed as the less impressive member of the team. His mutant gift allowed him to understand and communicate with any language, whether human, alien, or even technological. Useful? Absolutely. Intimidating? Not exactly. The Krakoa era transformed him into one of the most important mutants on Earth, and his evolution eventually led to his revelation form. Empowered by Apocalypse, he reached a level nobody could have predicted during his early New Mutants days. In the Age of Revelation timeline, he conquered the world, controlled others through his voice. Because of those feats, Revelation Douglas Ramsey has arguably surpassed even Magic at the absolute peak of his abilities. The Sinister Six are Spider-Man's most famous villains for a reason. They are a collection of dangerous criminals who usually come together for one purpose: taking down Spider-Man. The original lineup featured Dr. Octopus, Electro, Sandman, Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio, and the Vulture. But the roster has changed countless times over the decades. Characters like Hobgoblin, Shocker, Chameleon, Scorpion, Rhino, and even Venom have all been a part of the team at one point or another. Electro is one of Spider-Man's most destructive enemies, capable of controlling massive amounts of electricity and turning entire battlefields into death traps. Sandman is notoriously difficult to defeat thanks to his ability to reshape his body, survive incredible punishment, and strike with tremendous force. Doc Ock remains the team's greatest strategist, often holding the group together through sheer intelligence and planning. While many Sinister Six members rely on gadgets or specialized skills, villains like Electro and Sandman possess powers capable of threatening entire cities when left unchecked. When looking at every version of the team, the strongest member is absolutely Venom. Whether it's Eddie Brock or Mac Gargan wearing the symbiote, Venom brings a level of physical power that most Sinister Six members simply can't match. His strength exceeds Spider-Man's. His healing factor allows him to recover from devastating injuries, and the symbiote's shape-shifting abilities make him dangerous in almost any situation. He also possesses immunity to Spider-Man's spider sense, one of the reasons he has always been such a nightmare opponent for Peter Parker. X-Force has always been the mutant world's Black Ops team. Whenever the X-Men face a threat that couldn't be solved through diplomacy or heroics, X-Force was usually the group sent in to do the dirty work. You've got Wolverine, Deadpool, Psylocke, Archangel, Phantom X, Domino, X-23, Warpath, Kid Omega, and many others have all served on the team at different points. Unlike most superhero groups, X-Force values effectiveness over symbolism, which means its members are often among the deadliest mutants alive. A few names immediately stand out when discussing the strongest X-Force member, and that's Jean Grey. She has served with the team and brought Omega-level telepathy and telekinesis that can overwhelm entire armies. Cable has repeatedly proven himself as one of Marvel's most powerful telepaths, even while constantly using most of his powers to keep the techno-organic virus under control. Kid Omega is another major contender, thanks to his immense psychic potential, while Archangel's Apocalypse-enhanced form has made him one of the most physically dangerous mutants to ever wear the X-Force uniform. Across different eras, the team has had no shortage of heavy hitters capable of changing the outcome of entire wars. The crown, however, usually goes to Hope Summers. As an Omega-level mutant, Hope possesses one of the most versatile abilities in all of Marvel. She can instinctively copy, enhance, and synchronize the powers of nearby mutants, often using those abilities more effectively than their original powers. This makes her incredibly difficult to predict, because her potential changes depending on who is around her. Throughout mutant history, Hope has been treated as a messianic figure whose existence could alter the future of mutant kind. While characters like Jean and Cable may have more famous individual feats, Hope's virtually limitless power ceiling gives her the edge. With access to the abilities of other mutants and the capacity to push those powers to their fullest potential, she stands as the most powerful member in X-Force history. The Illuminati was never meant to be a superhero team in the traditional sense. Instead, it was a secret council made up of some of the most influential figures in the Marvel Universe. The original lineup included Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Professor X, Black Bolt, Namor, Mr. Fantastic, and later characters like Black Panther and Beast. Individually, these were already some of the smartest, most powerful, and most important people on Earth. Together, they made decisions that shaped the fate of entire worlds, often operating behind the scenes without the knowledge of other heroes. The group's greatest strength wasn't raw power, but the fact that it combined the minds and resources of Marvel's biggest leaders. Even so, several members are absolute monsters in terms of power. Black Bolt's voice can devastate cities and even threaten planets when unleashed at full strength. Doctor Strange brings reality-altering magic and decades of experience battling cosmic threats. Namor combines immense physical strength with one of the sharpest strategic minds in Marvel, while Professor X ranks among the most powerful telepaths on Earth. Depending on the roster, the Illuminati has also included individuals like Beast and Black Panther, whose intelligence alone has helped save the world countless times. It's difficult to find another Marvel team where nearly every member could lead a major franchise by themselves. The most powerful member, however, is usually Doctor Strange. While Black Bolt may possess greater destructive power and Reed may be smarter, Strange operates on a level that very few heroes can reach. As the Sorcerer Supreme, he has defended reality from interdimensional invasions, cosmic gods, demons, and threats capable of unraveling existence itself. His mastery of magic gives him access to abilities that most Illuminati members simply cannot match, like reality manipulation, dimensional travel, time-related spells, powerful enchantments, soul manipulation, and countless mystical techniques accumulated over decades. The Illuminati is filled with kings, geniuses, and telepaths and superhumans. But when the stakes reach a cosmic or multiversal level, Doctor Strange is usually the most powerful figure sitting at the table.